Welcome back again, everyone. I'm Lynn Doyle, and this is It's Your Call. Even though you just saw Larry Kane's name, that's because he is my special guest on this edition of the show. You know him, of course. He's been a legendary broadcaster in the Philadelphia region and nationally for more than 40 years. He is also an anchor here on the Comcast network and host and produces Voice of Reason. But we're talking to him because he has a new book out. It's called an ebook, and it's called Death by Deadline. It's his first effort at a mystery and fiction, and I have to tell you, it's definitely worth reading. But as I said, it's an ebook. So I want you to explain to us why you went down that path as opposed to the traditional way of writing a book that's, you know, hardcover. We find it in a magazine, I mean, in a bookstore, where here we get it on one of our applications or iPads or whatever they're called.
I tell you, I never deal with anything but the truth, so I'll tell you how it came about. I'm under contract to do a book called When They Were Boys, and the Beatles. It's coming out in 2 years. And the person who represents me went to all the big publishing houses with this book, and the letters were amazing. Oh, we thought it was so great, but they're not publishing fiction.
Really?
Unless you're Stephen King or John Grisham, you're not getting published.
Okay.
And that's sad. I mean, look at the top 10 list. It's the same authors over and over again. And the fellow who did that long book, I can't remember his name, the one who rebuffed Oprah years ago. But so as a result of that, I said, well, first of all, they didn't want to pay any money. Some of them would only publish maybe 200 or 300 books. And I said, I'll go the ebook way. And that's tough because you got to make sure that people have them to use them. But there is another way to get the book that a lot of people don't understand.
Okay, how is that?
You don't have to have an ebook. You can download it to your laptop desk and get one of what they call the free digital downloads, like Adobe Digitals. You can read it just like an ebook on your computer. So it's very inexpensive. It's not the usual. But to tell you the truth, I just said I'll go that way and I'll see what happens. Maybe it won't work. I don't know.
Do you think this is like the wave of the future?
I think it's the wave of the future.
People are trying to be more green friendly and more conservative.
Well, you don't
need all the clutter of the books in your house.
You don't have to publish any more books. You don't have to worry about supply. The author is treated very well in these things, extremely well, by these ebook platforms. But you have to let people know it's there. And unfortunately, in our society, and I'm not, again, I mentioned this, I am not Ernest Hemingway or F. Scott Fitzgerald. If I had that kind of talent, I'd be writing books all my life. But I will tell you one thing, though, that writing this book is catharsis in many ways, but there's something else involved in this. When you write this and you can release it in this kind of form, you have a lot of control over what happens. Okay. I don't know if it'll be a bestseller. I really don't. I expect it to be after being on this show. But that's why I did it.
Great. Well, we're going to give our viewers an opportunity here to join in. This is your chance. If you're a fan and you have questions for Larry, we invite you to go ahead and write to us right now. We'll pass those along to him. If you want to know how broadcasting has changed in 40 plus years, Larry's the one that can tell us about that. Or how about the new book, Death by Deadline, and this whole concept of ebooks? Do you want to know who or what inspired it? As always, we are inviting you to be part of our discussion. You know how it works here. You can email me directly at lynn@lynndoyle.net. You can also find us on Facebook. We are on Twitter and also on YouTube. And I guess that's, Larry, I mean, the one thing I have to say about you is you may have been in the business for 45 years, but you are up to date on all the latest stuff. I noticed that when we covered the presidential election in 2008. I mean, you had all the new bells and whistles that I'm still trying to figure out how to get on my computer in the office.
I like technology.
Well, you must, because you are light years ahead of me. I was so impressed that I downloaded, or I bought this on my iPad. I couldn't download it on my computer, so I just went ahead and bought it.
I think there's also another advantage to this kind of book. I mean, some people still like to hold a book in their hands. Sometimes the advantage of that is that you can travel with it. I see a lot of these books.
Yeah.
I also wonder how many authors are out there. Think about this. Really great talents, just like the Beatles were in the 1950s, never ever to be recognized or acknowledged because some executive at a publishing company doesn't want to read through maybe 10 or 15 pages of their manuscript. I've been fortunate in the books that I've written that I've been able to get publishers. A lot of people are great talents and they'll never be recognized unless they get these books out.
Wow. Well, I have to tell you, I thought I would be one who would resist the ebooks because I like holding the book, as you say. I like browsing through the bookstore. I don't, however, like carting a big hard copy on the plane. I got this iPad, and I'm not trying to do a commercial for them or anything, whether it be a Kindle or whatever the platforms are. I found that I could read this. I was getting my hair done. I'm reading your book. You know, I'm just flipping through like this. It was so easy. I put it back in my purse. I think it's really going to be the wave of the future.
I think it might be. I think also there's another factor involved too. The iPhones, some of the new phones, you can also read books on them.
Right.
The great thing for people of a certain age, the great thing about this is that you can make the letters bigger.
I knew you were going there.
you can make them darker, and I think even one of the I think Nooks have color.
Have a little light or something.
Yeah.
I love it because I did that same thing when I didn't have my glasses with me. I just popped up that font. So it was, at that point, you had about 2,000 pages I was supposed to read. But I do like the platform. Do you think, though, that it will eventually replace bookstores?
Well, the concern I have is not bookstores necessarily, but libraries.
Libraries?
I would be very concerned about libraries not, there's big efforts by Google and other people to digitize all these books that we've had over the last hundreds of years. Mm-hmm. And I would hope that libraries would make them very accessible, and I think they will. They're starting to do that. I know what it takes to digitize a book like this, and it takes a while. So, you know, the concept of will people in the 22nd century be able to read Dickens and all the great ones and maybe my book, you know, and say, was that the way it was when they had TV newscasts locally? But they're really great ones, the important books of life. I mean, this is a mystery thriller. The only thing this will change is maybe opinions on the way people do news. But there's a lot of great books, and reading is very essential to life.
Now, one of the things that is still part of my daily routine is to read the newspaper. But as we both know, newspapers are dying all over the country, and a lot of it is because information is available digitally. Do you think newspapers in particular will be able to survive?
I hope they can, because I'll tell you the truth. In this particular community, without newspapers in the last 6 months, we would not have had the exposure of major stories. Mm-hmm. The problems of the superintendent of schools, Carl Green, problems of the PHA scandal, mm-hmm. the violence in the school special. I mean, let's face it, this is another problem I have with local TV news. They take millions of dollars in money for political ads, but they hardly cover the races. I'm proud that here in cable, that we have been able to do a lot of political coverage and public affairs coverage. So I think that there's a lot of issues. Look, you know and I know, when people do not have information, they cannot judge. And there's so many stories that are broken by newspapers who have the staffs that local news, local TV news doesn't do it.
So many times the newsroom looked at what was in the paper and then followed up on that.
Let me tell you something, there's no question about that.
No question about it. I do have to take another quick break, but of course we're going to give you the opportunity to ask some questions of Larry. I'll share those when we come back. If you have questions or comments, go ahead and email me at lynn@lynndoyle.net.